You are losing the ability to know who you actually are. By constantly drowning out your inner monologue with digital noise, you are fracturing your psyche and eroding your emotional clarity. This chronic avoidance of solitude is not just a habit. It is a psychological crisis that is quietly destroying your mental health. In 2026, micro-boredom is functionally extinct. Not the deep boredom that drove invention, not the productive restlessness that forced your mind to work through what it had been carrying, the 10-second gaps, the nothing moments that used to exist everywhere, standing in line at the grocery store, waiting for an elevator, sitting in your car before going inside, lying in bed before sleep arrived on its own. Those moments are gone. Before your nervous system registers the absence of stimulation, your hand has already moved. The algorithm fills the gap. You never felt the silence. The shift happened gradually, and most people never noticed it. You stopped reaching for your phone to find something, and started reaching for it to avoid something. Those are entirely different behaviors. Technology was built as a tool. A tool has a purpose, and when that purpose is served, you put it down. But your phone stopped being a tool years ago. It became a biological shield, something you insert between yourself and the discomfort of your own thoughts before those thoughts can fully surface. Think about the last time you were genuinely bored. Not, I should probably do something bored. The kind that used to happen on long car rides. The kind that made your mind start moving on its own, surfacing things you had been carrying without realizing it. Neuroscience calls that the default mode network. It activates when external stimulation stops. It is your brain's processing cycle, the internal system that reviews, integrates, and makes sense of your experience. The shower, the waiting room, the drive with the radio off. None of that was wasted time. Your brain was doing maintenance. You replaced all of it. Not with free time, with processing debt, and it is compounding every day. The fracture shows up as self-concept confusion, the state of not having a coherent, stable sense of who you are, what you value, or what you actually think about your own life. You know what your feed thinks. You know the opinions you have absorbed from the content you consume. You know how you would explain yourself if someone asked. But what do you actually think? Not the performed version, not the answer you would give in a conversation. What do you feel about the direction your life is taking right now? About the decision you have been delaying for months? About the relationship dynamic that keeps bothering you even when you cannot name why? If that question made you want to reach for your phone, that is your answer. The mind avoids what it has not processed. And when you interrupt every gap before your thoughts can surface, those unprocessed things do not dissolve. They do not disappear because you did not look at them. They compound, they calcify, and they find other ways out. The chronic, objectless anxiety you feel is not anxiety about your life. It is anxiety about everything you have not let yourself think about, every uncomfortable thought you have been outrunning, every emotion you interrupted before it could fully form. And every time you reach for your phone to escape the discomfort of your own mind, you train yourself to believe you cannot tolerate being alone with your thoughts. You rehearse that belief neurologically. You make it structural. Over time, the discomfort of silence does not just feel uncomfortable, it feels threatening, and you will unconsciously organize your entire day to make sure it never arrives. That is not a habit. That is a phobia of your own interior, built one automatic screen grab at a time. If this is landing, subscribe and drop a like. New videos every week on the psychology of how you actually function. There is a version of you that only shows up in silence. Not the distracted version, not the one running commentary about how you look or what others would think. The actual one underneath all of that. That version has been trying to reach you. It has opinions about your relationship that keep getting drowned out. It has clarity about your career that surfaces for a second and disappears before it can become a thought. It knows what you have been settling for and what you actually want, and it has not been able to finish a sentence in months. The longer you avoid it, the louder everything around you needs to be to keep it down. This is why the scroll gets longer, why the episodes keep autoplaying, why you wake up at 3 in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone. Not because anything happened, but because the silence arrived before you were ready for it. People who maintain a regular practice of genuine solitude, not meditation, not journaling, just sitting with themselves, consistently show higher self-knowledge, stronger decision-making under pressure, better emotional resilience, and a more stable sense of identity. Not because silence is magic, because knowing yourself is a prerequisite for functioning as a whole person, and you cannot know yourself when you are constantly interrupting the only process through which you can access yourself. The result is not just distraction, it is a slow, progressive estrangement from your own life. You stop knowing what you want. Decisions that should be clear become paralyzing. You feel disconnected even when things are technically fine. You move through the motions of your own existence with the persistent sense that something is missing, but you cannot identify what. You are what is missing. The version of you that lives in the quiet. I am not telling you to delete your apps. I am not giving you a morning routine. You have heard all of that, and most of it is still just filling the silence with something slightly more prestigious. Your capacity for solitude is a skill, a cognitive and psychological capacity you have been eroding by not using it. And like every skill, it can be rebuilt, but only by actually using it. Start with 1 minute, not meditation, not a breathing exercise with an app telling you when to inhale. 1 minute of intentional nothing. No phone, no music, no task. Sit with whatever thought surfaces first, without chasing it, without suppressing it. Let it exist. The discomfort you feel in that minute is information. It is telling you exactly what has been accumulating while you were looking away. Then increase it. 2 minutes. 5. A walk with no podcast. A meal with no screen. A drive with the radio off. Not because silence is inherently valuable, but because the things waiting for you in that silence are things you need to hear. You are not someone who cannot handle being alone with yourself. You are someone who has practiced not handling it so consistently that the capacity has atrophied. The rebuild is gradual. It is uncomfortable. But there is no version of a clear, psychologically stable, self-directed life that does not run through your own unmediated mind. You cannot scroll your way into clarity. You cannot outsource the work of knowing yourself. Put the phone down. Let the silence come. The person in the quiet is the only one who knows what you actually need next. Right now, you are drowning them out.